Welcome to 24 Holiday Tips for Savvy Homeowners, brought to you by HomeTipsforWomen.com. Join us each day as Tina and her guests bring you a holiday tip to fill your home with more joy and less stress. And now, here's your host, Tina Gleisner.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our 24 fantastic holiday tips to help you save time, to save money, and enjoy the holidays more. This is actually my favorite time of year, but like many women, we tend to overcommit and we find ourselves so busy and so tired that we don't have time to enjoy the holidays ourselves. And that's where I have come to realize that planning out the holidays can make a really big difference. And I like to focus on the 4 Ds. The first one is go ahead and delegate some of the tasks on your to-do list. You don't have to do it all. The next is things are much more fun when you do it together with friends and family. The third D is I give you permission to drop a few things off that list because we don't have to keep doing everything we did last year. We need room to find new experiences and new holiday traditions. And if we do the first 3 items right, that should free up some time so that you can delight in the holidays because you've got some breathing room. And with that, I decided to host this series of holiday tips, bringing in experts from all over the country to share with you how you can enjoy the holidays more. And so today we have Chantea Williams, and she is passionate about cookies. She went to the Mississippi Culinary Arts Institute, and she's going to be sharing with us some great tips about using cookies during the holiday. So thank you so much, Chantea, for joining us today. I really appreciate you putting the time in.
Thanks, Tina, for having me. I look forward to the conversation.
And why don't we start out, and can I ask you to share your favorite holiday activity?
My favorite holiday activity is baking. And I love baking because that was something I grew up with as a child in the kitchen with my grandmothers and my aunt. It was one of those things that we did as a family. It didn't require a special occasion. Whenever they were in the kitchen cooking and baking, I was right there beside them trying to figure out what they were doing, what it took to do it, and wanting to try to memorize the recipes. And that's where I fell in my love for passion.
And you're so lucky to have found that passion as a young child because sometimes we spend years and years searching for it.
That is so true.
So why don't we get started with your 3 cookie tips for the holidays? What's the first one?
The first one is going to be baking cookies with children. That is one of my favorite activities to do for the holidays, especially with my nieces and nephews. They know that when TT comes home, we have a whole day dedicated to baking cookies, and they're sugar cookies, and it doesn't matter what shape they are. It doesn't matter what color. We just spend a whole day just rolling out cookie dough and using our Christmas cookie cutters and just making cookies. And they put tons and tons and tons and tons of sprinkle on them, and we make different colors. And it's just a nice bonding time to have with the family during the holidays.
Right. And how about tip number 2?
Tip number 2 would be baking for holiday parties. And that's one of the things that I also love because when you're baking for a holiday party, your ideas are endless, especially for Christmas parties and you're bringing cookies. You can just do about anything that you can imagine. You can dream it up. You can bake it. Of course, there's science behind some of that and some ingredients don't go well, but for the most part, your creativity is as high as you can go. So you can do something simple from just a Christmas tree, or you can get extrinsic with a Santa Claus, or a golden star or a reindeer or even a gingerbread house. Those things are just wonderful to do, and it's just a warm feeling when you bring your cookie dish to a party and everybody's oohing and awing and they're saying, "Oh, that's so beautiful." But we don't always want beautiful cookies. We also want them to taste just as good as they look. So we want to make sure that our cookies are not just designed beautiful, but they also warm the heart as people start to eat them, and it's just a great feeling to know that you have the gift of baking something for a party or something that somebody may like and just eat. It's lovely. It's lovely.
Now, I know when we were talking earlier, Chantea, you said that it's not always easy to get a group of friends together to swap real cookies, which is basically what I think of as a cookie swap or a cookie exchange. And you shared something else. You actually told me earlier that sometimes you have a party and people just swap recipes or cookie cutters. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Yes, you can have where parties where people don't necessarily like to. Everybody doesn't like baking. Baking is a passion. It's a calling. It's either you love it or you hate it. And so there are other things you can do. You can say, we can swap recipes, or we can swap cookie cutters, or we can swap other baking utensils, and those things can be just as fun because you never know what you're going to get, and you always leave with something. So those parties are just as exciting as the ones where you have the cookie swap, because everybody has a different perspective. Everybody's different in their creativity, and it's a fun thing to do and a fun thing to experience. So don't just limit yourself to one thing. Be creative. Be creative with your parties. Be creative with what you're going to do, and don't limit yourself to one thing, because swapping cookie cutters can be just as fun as swapping actual cookies.
Right. And, I was just looking at some of my other notes from when we were talking earlier about not necessarily during the holidays, but during the year, you can have cookie-themed parties like with the 80s or around a movie. And I loved your story about the Legos. And I actually thought that I'd like you to share the Lego story, but that might be a great alternative to messy birthday cakes as well.
You are so right, Tina. The Lego cookie came about. I had a friend of mine whose son loves Legos, and she wanted something different. And so I was thinking, oh, my gosh, how am I going to build a Lego cookie? It's going to be so hard. And I found a YouTube clip on Lego cookies, and it was just so easy. It blew my mind. You take a square cookie cutter, cut it in half so it's rectangle, and you have 4 little circles on the top. And you may want to put a couple more rectangle cookies to give it some dimension. And there you have it. It's a Lego cookie, and it's something that a child can easily recognize when they see it, and it's just as fun. And you're right, it's not messy as, the normal cupcakes or cakes that we normally do for our children's birthday parties. But those things that children can easily recognize are just as fun, because sometimes I've learned that even with birthday parties, we put more stress on as parents than the kids would do, and it's all about the kids, and they love those little simple things that they can put their hands on and still say, hey, this is that, and just to see their eyes light up, it just brings joy all the way around.
Right. And that's actually a perfect lead-in to your third cookie tip for us?
Yes. Baking cookies as gifts. That is one of my favorite things to do, because it doesn't require an occasion. It doesn't require a holiday. It's something that you can do all year long. And it's something that can be just as simple as your favorite chocolate chip recipe that you can bake and take it to your neighbor next door, or take it to a friend who is recovering from an illness, or take it to somebody who may have been feeling down at work. And it's just the gift of cookies can bring a smile on anybody's face. And it doesn't have to be something fancy. It doesn't have to be something that's designed extrinsically, but it can be something just as a snickerdoodle cookie or a peanut butter cookie or oatmeal raisin cookie. You can put it in the old-fashioned mason jar, put a bow on it. You can put it in the cellophane bags with a bow and a note on it. How you dress it up is all in your creativity. You can put it on a platter. and wrap it up in a cookie bag and give it to them. It's something that doesn't require any special need. It's just because it was Wednesday. I'm going to bring a cookie gift to a friend or a cookie gift to a coworker or to my neighbor next door. And it's something that you can also involve your kids with, because it's something easy for them to do, and it's something that you can explain to them, this is a gift that we're making from somebody else. And, it's easy for us to go and buy gifts, or to do things. But when you're making something from your heart, it just has more value in it to me. And that's one of the things I love about baking cookies as gifts, because it's something that you actually took time out of your schedule to do. And you took time to put it together, and you took time to deliver it to the person that you created it for. And it's just something so simple that brings the biggest smile on somebody's face. And it's something that they remember years down the road, and it's something that can continually pass on. And so I think that's just a great way to give gifts, because it's not expensive. We live in a day and time where everything's about, high-priced items, but this is something, what's more high-priced than your time and your effort in giving something so simple to somebody else? And so I love giving cookies as gifts, because it's something that you can do any day of the year. It doesn't take a holiday or a necessary event. It can be just because, and I love those just because gifts as cookies, because they're perfect. They're just perfect because it can be simple as you want it, as long as it comes from the heart, and that's what really matters.
Right. And here are a couple of other things as I'm listening to you. You might love to bake, but you maybe know you shouldn't eat all of the cookies. So by, giving some of them away, you're saving on that calorie intake. And the other thing is you're also saving money, because wouldn't you rather spend your time in the kitchen baking cookies for a gift rather than running to the store to search for another gift to give someone? So I think
absolutely,
cookie gifts are absolutely a smart thing to do for the holidays, for birthdays, and for many other occasions, as you've already pointed out. So I think it's going to be a little hard to explain here because you don't have a website yet for the catering you're doing. But for everyone listening in on the call, we actually will have a blog post where you can listen to this call again. You can get the tips in the blog post itself. And there I will be sharing Chantea's recipe for sugar cookies and a link to her cookie board on Pinterest. So thank you so much for sharing these great tips with us today. And thanks to all of our listeners. We're glad you joined us, and I hope you listen in on some of our other holiday tips. This is Tina Gleisner at Home Tips for Women, and we wish you all a very wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, and we invite you back tomorrow for another Savvy Holiday Tip. Be sure to grab your free gift at SavvyHolidayTips.com. That's SavvyHolidayTips.com.